All right, I want to go over again what does the crucifixion mean and what it is that's being accomplished and what it is that I'm trying to say. So, as I've said before, the laws and commands of Moses harnessed primitive urges in order to bring about the rule of law. Okay? That's what they did. You can go back and look at those laws and commands, and you can see, stoning prostitutes to death, stoning people to death for all these different things. Those were already in us, but as commanded, then it just harnessed the primitive urges. Okay, so when Christ came around 2,000 years ago, that was a point in time in which we had evolved past the need to continue with those urges, with those commands. Christ's death, crucifixion, subdued the willingness to proceed with those urges, and the new commands, which was um, to, the new command was go to the government for a certificate of marriage, and then that was essentially solidified a bargaining arrangement between the primitive urge to exert sexual dominion over your partner. That has since we've evolved past that, okay? So, where Christ needed to be crucified to death, my quote unquote crucifixion is, and as you read in Revelations, it says, I gave her space to commit of her fornication, and she didn't commit. Then she didn't, and she didn't repent. And then it says that his bride is the great city. Now, what it's trying to say is that I'm not going to end up being married, but my bride is going to be the city. And this goes to, the fact that I'm going to be the president. Now, what am I trying to say? When you read Revelations chapter 11 and Revelations chapter 12, which in chapter 11 you see that, for 1260 days, the suicide boys, which the two olive trees are the suicide boys, they're going to um, prophesy for 1260 days. And they've got an album scheduled for release on August the 13th. 1260 days from August the 13th will be 3 days after Inauguration Day. However, I've got a text message dated from December the 14th and another one from December the 5th, and one of them actually talk about it, and I say, hey, they just told me this woman's going to have my baby, and then we're not going to have sex, but she's going to give birth. And the other one is where I told her, don't, if you end up having sex with somebody or else and have my kid, then I told her I was going to kill myself. Well, they had already showed me that this was going to be the case and all this kind of stuff, and it was going to be a son. So Revelations chapter 12, what it's talking about is that falling in between those dates is August the 10th at midnight, because it's a 5-day gap, or it's a 9-day gap. So falling in between those two dates is August the 10th at midnight. 1260 days from August the 10th at midnight is going to be January the 20th of 2025. Okay? So what I'm saying is this is actually going on. I have no idea how exactly this is going to happen. It's nearly 3.5 years, and there's a lot about 3.5 years. There's, where Elijah in the Bible, he says that, for 3.5 years there's not going to be any rain, and there was a famine, and then he prayed for rain to come back, and then it started to rain again. So, and then he had a person named Elisha, and supposedly his spirit went into Elisha when he died, and there was a guy who sneezed 7 times, and then he was raised from the dead, or a kid. And my dad always sneezes 7 times in a row. I don't know exactly what the significance of that is, but my attorney told me don't make any more YouTube videos where you're talking about all this stuff. And to be honest with you, I don't know why. He just told me that yesterday, but for whatever reason it came to me today that that's actually what I need to be doing. So that here I am doing exactly what he told me not to do. But like today I went to, they had me committed, and Tanner thinks he's been the Messiah and all this kind of stuff. Well, this goes all the way back to my social security number and Slipknot using my social security number. And, I mean, my dad called up the psychiatric facility. He's like, he thinks he's Jesus. He said aliens are torturing him. He said aliens are going to make him have baby. He didn't explain any of it. You know what I mean? And then finally it got to the point where I was just like, okay, let me tell you exactly what's going on. And then I explained it to the doctor inside the psychiatric facility. Obviously, I don't want to be having to explain this kind of stuff to a doctor in a psychiatric facility. But once I got done explaining it to him, he gave me a date for release. You know what I'm saying? The next day. And then it went from, well, we're going to get a court order to get you to take this injection to, I really want you to take this injection. So it wasn't that it wasn't that they don't think I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then now my dad's been explained all this stuff. He called up to the psychiatric facility. I'm still doing outpatient, and said, he thinks he's the Messiah. I heard him talking to him over the phone. He thinks he's the Messiah. He needs more help. Don't discharge him. All this kind of stuff. And I was like, I need to get out of here. I'm only doing this for the legal situation. I don't even have a psychiatric problem. This isn't. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, well, if you don't want to be here, we don't really want you here. We can maybe recommend you to another facility. So, either way, if you're listening, I need help financially getting this book off the ground. I need editing. I need proofreading, professional proofreading. I need professional editing. I need money to promote the book with. And I don't know exactly how I'm supposed to come about the money. At one point, they told me connect with other people. I've connected with other people. I've gotten on Facebook. I've gotten on Twitter. I don't exactly know what I'm supposed to be doing, but either way, I just wanted to go through with you some of the high points of exactly what's going on. I wrote an entire book. I mean, it would be impossible for me to sit here and explain everything to you, but they did a lot of stuff to me. They showed me a lot of really messed up stuff. They threatened me, and then I had a psychological reaction where I became obsessed with this woman because she has resources and she was showing interest in me. And I'd been working really hard on obsession because it just runs in my family, but I'd gotten a hold of it reading this book by this guy. He's a Buddhist monk, and learning how to control that. So what I'm trying to say is that listen to my situation. You hear these kids screaming in the background. This is not conducive to a working environment. This is not conducive to me. I need help getting out of this situation, but the money you give me is going to go into the book, and then that's going to help me get out of this situation. But anyways, the book is finished. Everything is done. Everything is the book is fully prepared. I've proofread it. I'm on my third proofreading right now. And it's just agonizing to get through it. But I think there's more to say, but I mean, I'm supposed to be president of this country, but I'm not just supposed to be the president. I'm supposed to actually take control of the government. I'm supposed to round up all the cops and put them in jail for putting drug heads in jail, and putting people in jail for drugs, and putting people in jail for, guns and everything else. Change the entire legal system. And then that's how they say that the 12 foundations of the city are going to be sapphires and jewels and golds and all this kind of stuff, because it said that the 12 foundations of the city are the 12 disciples are written on the foundations of the walls of the city. And that's where they told me where who my 12 disciples were was in jail, which made me realize, caused me to realize, which actually I asked them, what does that mean? And then they told me, they didn't tell me, but it came to me at that moment, that what we just told you happened in jail, which means that, the 12 foundations of the walls of the city are the jail, so anyways, if you can put some money out for the put some money up for the GoFundMe, I'll put it in the description. I appreciate it. Anything you can do to help, I appreciate it.